Your building low eaves requires the installation of eave trim, regardless of whether you have an eave extension or not, and should be installed before your roof panels. If your building does not have an eave extension or overhang, then you will likely have a wall panel at your eave as shown here. These wall panels will need to be installed before adding your eave trim. If your building does not have a wall panel at your eave as shown here, then you may install your eave trim using pancake head fasteners. The 5.5-inch post trim labeled in this diagram may be installed before or after your eave trim. In our example, it has already been installed. Your eave trim will be identified on your sheet metal trim package list. The trim will span from end to end of your low eave purlin. Although each piece of flashing is 10 feet 2 inches long, it has a maximum coverage of 10 feet. This is due to the minimum 2-inch overlap required when installing additional flashing pieces. Before installing your eave trim, you will need to create corners to cover the ends of your eave purlin. This helps to alleviate potential water infiltration at the corners. Your eave trim should extend beyond your eave purlin by 1.5 inches to create the corner. Make a mark across the top and leg of your eave trim at 1.5 inches from the end. Cut the top leg and the hemmed leg of your eave trim, and then bend inward to create the corner. The top leg should overlap, as shown here. Starting at one end of your low eave, install your eave trim using pancake head fasteners at 1 foot on center along the eave purlin of your main building. Be sure to attach through the corner overlap into the eave purlin. Continue installing eave trim until you get to the end of the low eave you are working on. At that point, measure and cut the last trim piece to the length needed to stop at the end of the low eave. As you lap additional pieces of trim, secure the lap with a pancake head fastener. Secure your remaining corner overlap into the eave purlin. Your low eave trim has now been installed. Repeat this for any other low eave on your building. Thanks for choosing Worldwide Steel Buildings. Got questions? Give us a call at 1-800-825-0316 or visit our website at worldwidesteelbuildings.com.